Hello, thank you for joining us on Granger Book Talks. My name is Elliot Sine, and here I have.
Mrs. Wood.
And what do you do here, Mrs. Wood?
I'm a school counselor.
All right, now explain a little bit.
Okay, so I help students with a variety of situations like schedule changes, college applications. If you're having a hard day at school, you can come talk to me. I'm really nice. You can see me for candy. I do lots of things.
Nice, so go talk to Mrs. Wood now, the most important thing that we've come here for. Now, what book do you have for us?
The book I brought today is called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot.
Now, do you have a favorite quote or line from the book that you want to share with us?
I do. So this book is about the history of how cancer cell research started, and it came from this woman named Henrietta Lacks. And let me just read to you a little bit about her. It says, Henrietta died in 1951 from a vicious case of cervical cancer. But before she died, a surgeon took samples of her tumor and put them in a petri dish. Scientists have been trying to keep human cells alive in culture for decades, but they all eventually died. Henrietta's were different. They reproduced an entire generation every 24 hours, and they never stopped. They became the first immortal human cells ever grown in a laboratory. And this is kind of the basis for the entire book.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. You hear that, guys? All right. So, is there anything that this book made you think about more in particular?
Yeah, so I read a little bit about how a doctor took these cells from this woman, but they did it without her permission. And so it kind of made me think, well, if somebody has taken my blood at one point and they used it for some miraculous vaccine or something, how would I know? Is it ethical for somebody to take some of the samples that I've given in doctors' offices before for research and make millions off of that instead of letting me know so that I could make millions? I don't know. It's just this real interesting ethical debate that has made me think a lot about where do our cells go and what do doctors use them for after they're done testing it or whatever.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, so is there anything in particular that you learned a lot about while reading this book?
Yeah, I learned a lot about the process of cancer cell research, about how they have to harvest the cells and preserve them, how they used to ship them to other research facilities in the U.S. and around the world. I learned about the history of medical care. So this takes place during a time of segregation and how people of color were treated versus white people in the hospitals, what that was like, the discrepancy between people that had money to pay for hospital care and poor families that couldn't pay for hospital care. Just really interesting opposite ends of the spectrum that they talk about in terms of just life, like medically and living life. It was very interesting.
Nice. All right, so did this story evoke any major emotion with you?
Yeah, I really felt like there was a big injustice for this Lax family, particularly Henrietta's family. So this journalist picked up this story, and she kind of splits the book between understanding the life history of Henrietta and her family, and then researching all of the things that happened with her cells after they collected it. And her family, Henrietta's family, is a poor family from the South. They have never received any money from Henrietta's cell research, and it's made a lot of money. So it made me just really feel for the Lax family, and made me question a little bit about the medical industry. A lot of money is to be made, which is great, which is really great, but at what expense?
Thanks for joining us on Granger Book Talks.